Culture, and joining us is Nehemiah Mburu, who is regional program manager at Kuza Biashara. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today.
Thank you, Kelvin, for having me.
All right, now let's get into the conversation. When you're speaking about sustainable agriculture, and now we are about to close the year, since the year started up to now, when it comes to agriculture, what are some of the gaps that need to be filled from your perspective?
Oh, thank you, Kelvin, for that. I think when we speak about sustainability, I look at it from 3 points, the 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, economic, and social. And so for me, sustainable agriculture needs to address those 3 pillars. And especially when we are talking about climate change, there is need for farmers and everyone involved in agriculture to be pushing towards climate adaptation, is what we hear nowadays, a lot of it, climate mitigation. But for the farmer down in the rural areas,
yes,
their main gap is about information. It's about access to improved technologies. While the flip side of that is that we have a lot of technologies that have been developed through research, but they're not getting to farmers. And so for me, there's that gap. There's also what the government is doing through the bottom-up transformation agenda, getting farmers fertilizer. A third component of that is information and management practices. It's not enough to have improved variety of, say, sorghum, but you need to know how do you plant it, how do you take care of it. So there's that gap in terms of information, and I think that's where I come from in the digital agricultural space. We are plugging that missing middle, enhancing access to improved technologies by farmers so that they are able to improve their production productivity, also go to market, enhance that market linkages. And from the bigger plan is we keep hearing that Kenya is a net food importer, whilst we can produce that.
Yes.
So to me, we have the pieces. It's a question of those pieces speaking to each other. I'm gladdened when I hear everyone talking about systems, because it's got to be a system approach for us to unlock all those challenges.
All right.
And leverage. Information technology, leverage the human resource that we have. For example, we have the statistics I keep hearing is that the average Kenyan farmer is about 60 years old.
Yes.
But the median age of a Kenyan is only 19. So what are we saying? There's a generational issue that we need to address. And agriculture, to me, is the platform that we can clearly leverage, both for the environment, the economic, as well as social issues around sustainability.
All right. And now, while we're speaking about the environment, let us also look at the climate. And climate change has really affected the way farmers usually plant and how farmers also even harvest. And earlier on, as we were speaking, we were talking about seasons and what seasons used to be. You know, by this date in a month, I need to be clearing out the farm. I need to be planting. I need to be putting in seeds. But what we have these days, you don't usually know what goes on. And you, as you've worked with farmers in the rural area, is this a challenge that also needs to be looked at?
Yeah, indeed it is. And as you rightly mentioned, looking at it from 2 perspectives. One, access to the right technology in terms of a crop variety that probably is drought escaping. So maturity at 90 days. Because as you rightly said, when I started working in rural areas, it used to be very clear, for example, in, say, Kathonzweni, that by the 15th of October, farmers would be seeding because they know the rains will come. That quickly turned to 30th of October. At this point, it's really a game of chance. So from that perspective, number 2 also, what do we have the right technologies in terms of varieties for farmers to use within the context of the changing seasons? Number 3, there's also the intensity of rains. The rains come, and then all of a sudden, for the next 2 weeks or so, they are not there to sustain a crop growth. So to me, it boils back to information. Information in the sense that the farmer, as they make a decision on what to plant, they have clear information that can tell them, yes, in this area, you'd expect rains on the 18th up to the 25th. This is the technology that you can. And so, again, I circle back to improved use of technology and use of digital technologies especially. How do we package that so that the farmer can be able to access it? As they make a decision on what to do with this season, they know that the rains will not be sufficient, or in this case, as we are speaking now, there will be a lot of rains. As you rightly said, what are we going to do with all of that water?
Yes.
In terms of rain harvesting technologies, we have a plenty of them. And I think it's a challenge for us to use this as an opportunity. So again, I cannot overemphasize the need for packaging that information. And we have that information. We have made strides in terms of technology, in terms of met information. How do we package that and get it to the farmer at the right time so that they are making informed decisions? Yes.
All right. Even as we speak about this, let us also look at the El Nino rains, because this is a huge part, especially when it comes to the agriculture sector as a whole, because the rains come and then the El Nino rains, they sweep away almost everything. But now, how are we as maybe a country also, are people in the rural areas really prepared for this kind of situation when it comes to now the crops, when it comes to water harvesting? What are people in the rural areas doing in terms of preparedness, maybe for El Nino rains?
A good question, and I think that's a challenge that all of us need to embrace. It need not be the county governments whose role it is in terms of agriculture. It need not be the development partners who have invested a lot in water harvesting technologies. I've worked a lot in the lower parts of eastern Kenya, and when you go, there's a lot of on-farm harvesting technologies that have been trained. So I think the question really to ask ourselves is, where are those technologies and are we able to roll them out very quickly? Again, information, so that a farmer knows if I need to do, say, they call it retention ditches, who within the community can I approach? And that's why for us, where I sit as Kuza, we bring in young people and take them through that process so that they are providing that service at the last mile. Because that's where the challenge is. The last mile right within the community where farmers are together, but they don't know where to get that information. Yes, we have institutions around there, but the access sometimes is a challenge. Knowing very well how extension services are in this country. Yes. So to answer your question directly, I think I'll embrace that challenge, and it has to be a challenge for all of us. We need to quickly get this technology, and they're there, and roll them out. Remind farmers, okay, if your retention ditches are not in good stead, this is time to get it done. So preparedness, information, and how do farmers get that information?
Oh, pretty insightful. Now, as we come to a close of this conversation, the future, when you look at sustainable agriculture, what does it look like to a common Kenyan? When you say sustainable agriculture, what are we talking about, even as we close?
Well, without, I know I run the risk of being self-serving here, because as Kuza, what we do is we provide young people, women, and small business owners with the opportunity to learn, connect, and grow through entrepreneurship with digital at the core. So for me, sustainable and youth have to go in the same line.
Yes.
Because we are talking about youth unemployment, but yet we have agriculture, which sustains all of us, be it in food, be it in processing, agro-processing, and all that. So to me, the sustainability component has to have the young people in place, so that they're the ones now making the decision. They're the ones going to the last mile to train farmers. They're the ones linking those farmers with input supply providers. They're the ones linking those farmers with markets. So to me, youth and sustainability and agriculture, I think we need to coin a phrase around that, so that we are addressing again the three pillars I talked about: environment, economic, and the social pillars of sustainability.
All right, thank you so much, Nehemiah, for giving us your insights. We've come to the end of this conversation, but we are going to go for a short break. But when we come back, we're going to speak to Cheryl Mboya, who is a Managing Director, ICISA Limited. We're going to be talking about climate change and how climate change is affecting health. We're also going to be looking at some of the technologies that are coming in order to help in the health sector. So we're going to go for a short break. Don't go too far.